Good evening, Canada, and welcome to POP TV, powered by POP TikR. It's Sunday evening, and we are so excited to bring one of Canada's award-winning authors, Farzana Doctor. She is coming live to us tonight, and just in a few seconds, she'll be here live with us in 3, 2, 1, and bang! Here we are. Hi, Farzana. How are
Nice
you?
to see you. I'm great. Thank you for having me on your show.
Well, we are so excited. You have your upcoming release, your fourth novel called Titled 7.
Yes, here it is. I have it in my hands.
Oh,
7.
wow. There it is.
Yeah.
So exciting. So congratulations on that. I'm sure it's a big goal and milestone to always get your book all shiny and new and ready to go and share with the world.
Yes, because it takes so long, right? Novels are often about a 4-year process. So, I started dreaming about this novel maybe about 5 years ago, started getting the words on the page back then. And then, the process for it to get to publication can take a while. So I'm very pleased that it's out.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I'm going to get right to it. I love this quote, and you'll recognize it, I'm sure. So it goes as, in her grand tradition, Farzana Doctor once again pushes us forward with nuanced, layered intergenerational prose to bring visibility to an important social issue, an urgent and passionate read. And that's by Vivek Shraya, a Canadian musician. I love her. If you're watching, hi. I love her music. And, the reviews have been excellent. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you.
And actually, before we get into that, I wanted to also, you have a fascinating background. You're a social worker, activist, psychotherapist. So ancestry in India, born in Zambia, and then with a family immigrating to Canada in 1971. So tell us more about, what influenced you growing up? How did you, come to where you are? How did you begin your journey when it came to writing?
Yeah, I was always a writer, I think. I was one of those kids who was writing plays and performing them, whether anyone wanted to watch or not. Um, and I loved to read, and I continued to write in fits and spurts. And then when I went to university, I stopped writing because, I started doing academic writing as well. And I come from an immigrant family where the arts are considered to be a good enough hobby, but there really isn't a lot of encouragement to go into the arts. And that's because, for newer immigrants, the goal is really security and stability. And I ended up going into social work. For many, many years, I worked in different organizations. And then I decided, at one point, I started to write my first novel, and I decided to quit my day job. And I started a part-time private practice so that I could write half-time. And over time, I finally got to that goal. And these days, I write in the morning, and I see clients in the afternoon.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. I know it's hard to balance. And, my ancestry is also from, the India continent. And, and that's also why I love this book. I love all the, we talk about conflict and the threads of conflict between, feminism, culture. And actually, one of the other quotes that I really, really love is this one. So I want to read this out. So, in the era of Me Too, Doctor brings us a soulfully written book about inheritance and resistance. And I think for me, I love this quote. It's so powerful because, again, you see the juxtaposition, right? The conflict between inheritance and resistance. And, tell us more about that and how it fits into sort of the book, the theme of the book.
So, I think that our ancestors are always with us, and we're always impacted by the legacies that they have left for us, the good and the bad. And so I'll get to that piece in a minute, but this is a story about a 40-year-old woman who goes to India on a marriage saving trip with her husband and child. There's some tensions in that relationship. And she thinks that she's going to be spending the time there homeschooling her kid and doing some research about a very revered ancestor. And in the process, she's there in 2016, where debates about Khatna, and Khatna is a form of female genital cutting that happens in the Dawadi Bora community, and that's the community that I'm from. So those debates about, you know, what is Khatna? Is it female genital cutting? Should it continue? All of that is happening, and she has two cousins who are on opposite sides of the debate, and she has to figure out, you know, what's her position. And so threaded throughout the novel are little excerpts from her great-great-grandfather. So we get a sense of who he was, some of his foibles, who his wives were, and what he left his family. And that great-grandfather part is inspired by my own great-great-grandfather. We have a character in our family, Lore, and I say Lore because most people don't know that much about him. We just have some stories that have been passed down. He was a man who had a rags to riches kind of story. He went from the village to Bombay, no education, educated himself, ended up becoming a wealthy landowner and businessman. And he also gave to a lot of charities. He, you know, created a trust, all this kind of stuff to pass down to his family. So I couldn't learn that much about the real guy, so I had to fictionalize him, which I think is good anyway, because it's nice to leave your own family, your revered family ancestors alone. So I fictionalized him, but I very much based him on some of the things that I did know, and then I made up the rest.
Wow.
So I can also tell you that the story about the 40-year-old woman, Sharifa, is so inspired by my own experiences of activism. In 2015, I joined a group called We Speak Out, and it's a group that focuses on the issue of Khatna and ending it, and trying to educate the community, as well as working in a kind of a legal way to ban it in India. And it was through the process of meeting other Dawadi Bora women activists and also working through my own trauma that I thought, you know, maybe one of the ways I can contribute to this movement is to write a novel. I like activism, but I like writing fiction more. And I think sometimes we can really get at the heart of issues, the nuanced, layered issues in a better way with fiction. So that's how this novel came about.
That's amazing. I thank you for that. I think it's really nice to sort of get, you know, a little bit of more background and you know, context to the novel. I did read, and it really captured my attention, you know, because I feel like, you know, again, like you said, there's are really important and present issues, but wrapped around, you know, a novel. And, you know, we can all relate to, you know, sort of feminism, you know, empowerment at, you know, different levels that we see around the world. Some more, you know, advanced and progressed than others. So I'm really excited to get my hands on this novel. And, you know, I did see, I mean, this is your fourth book. You have a number, well, you have three others. And I was reading on your bio that, you know, they all have themes of, again, these, you know, relationships you brought up, a community, healing, racism, the LGBT, diasporic identity, which, you know, many of us can relate to, you know, being sort of that dual citizen, if you will, you know, when you're attached to your ancestry. So why was this important to you? How, you know, again, I mean, we see a little bit of these threads in, you know, the work that you've done, both as career and some of the, but is there any other sort of influences that really sort of bring these emerging themes into your creativity, into your writing?
I think for me, you know, I've always loved reading novels, and when I was writing my first novel, I just felt like there just wasn't enough. There were some South Asian writers, but there wasn't enough of the kind of writing that I wanted to see. So I thought, you know, this is where I want to contribute. Also, I think I've always been trying to understand the Dawadi Bora community that I'm from. So I come from a very large extended family. Quite a number of the people in the family are quite orthodox and follow the traditions. And there's people in the middle. And then there were people like us who were sort of on the outs. And because we were outliers, there were ways that I never really fully understood why people did the things that they did. And I was a curious child, so I would ask a lot of questions. And I often had responses like, oh, I don't know, this is just how we do things. And I think in the Dowdy Bora community, while it's quite an educated community, there is no emphasis around questioning the religious or spiritual leader. In fact, it's considered to be more pious to just follow without questioning. Um,
Right.
so there were so many things that I couldn't understand. And I think one of the things I've been trying to do with each subsequent novel is I've been writing in Bora characters and maybe trying to understand who we are. And I feel like with this book, I've gotten the closest I ever have to understanding who we are.
Right. No, that's you know, some of us and our viewers might not be too familiar with the community. Can you tell us more? I mean, is this community found in several other countries and continents? And
So originally from Yemen, that's what people believe. Um, came to Gujarat where people were converted, and it's a very entrepreneurial community, numbered close to 2 million across the world. So not that big, really. You know, and people have traveled all across the world. So there are big communities in the U.S. and Canada, in the U.K., in parts of Africa, and then, of course, largest community in India.
yes, okay, great. And now, I mean, again, I was reading, I mean, great, you've taken up this cause, We Speak Out. I'd love to learn more about this. It's, you know, a global cause to end female genital cutting. So tell us more about that.
So it's a very much a grassroots organization. We're all volunteers. We're just doing what we can. People can find out more at wespeakout.org, and
Okay.
we would love, you know, people's support if they would like to be part of it. So over the years, we've done a number of things. One of our big achievements is a petition that we circulated that currently has, I just looked today, 209,000 signatories to ban the
Wow.
practice. Yeah, and then we've also had lots of, you know, educational things that we put out over social media. I think that this is a practice that, because it's been so taboo, so silent, most people haven't thought much about it. And because it's considered to be an intergenerational trauma, so, you know, a grandmother passes it down and then it gets passed down and so on. And it's considered to just be a normal rite of passage. No one is thinking that they're harming children when they're doing this. They just think that they're doing what is required and what our holy leader says we're supposed to be doing, right? So it just gets passed down unthinkingly. So our goal has really been to get people to think about this and to realize that it does in fact have emotional, physical, and sexual consequences that can be quite intense. Some people say that they don't have any consequences whatsoever, and other people have quite extreme consequences. So what we are saying is, you know, let's not risk that. If a young woman wants to do this, she can wait until she's 18 when she can give informed consent. And we don't even recommend that someone would do that. But you know, this is an issue about bodily autonomy and the rights of girls and so on. So we're hoping to start changing minds over time. In my generation, it was thought that it was about 85% of girls were subjected to this, and you know, now they're thinking around 75%. So we're hoping that it goes down over time as people start to be able to think about this and make better informed decisions.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And it sort of again takes you back to the novel, right? When you talk about Sharifa, who is caught between her two cousins who are at both sides of the debate. You know, like you said, I believe it's 2016, right? Is where the setting is. So it's quite in more recent and modern times. And so, you know, I can imagine her, you know, again, the conflict of, and again, you know, going back to that quote of, you know, inheritance, right? Culture is one of those things. Sometimes it's just like you said, we don't even think why we do certain things because it's inherited, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But when it comes to something like, you know, female genital cutting, it is something that, you know, is a very sensitive and controversial issue. But I mean, definitely very impactful, like you said, right? Trauma and all. So
And one thing I'd like to say, a number of people have said to me, "Oh boy, that's going to be a hard novel to read." And but I'm getting feedback actually from people who have gotten early copies who are like, "This was a page turner. I couldn't put it down. It was funny in places. It was really entertaining." And I really want to get that message across, that I'm a writer who likes to write about important social issues, but I really believe in not lecturing people. Um, I don't like novels to be, while they're issues driven, I don't like them to be heavy. I want them to be novels that people eat up and enjoy, because we also need entertainment as we're writing, as we're,
100%.
right?
And
So
I can tell you, I was reading just the, the summary, and I was caught. Like, I loved it. I mean, it's so, again, for me, and I use the word riveting because it was. I mean, I felt like that just reading the overview of, what to expect, and it was actually quite exciting. I feel like I can really relate to it because for me, again, being part of, the ancestry of, my parents and, India, and, there really is a plane. I think a lot of us, I mean, Canada is so diverse, right? We all come from different roots and different ancestry. We all have a little bit of that dynamic where, we have our ancestral roots, the culture that comes with it, and, the fun and like, the stories that come with that. So like you said, I think you've really deliver the novel in a really fun and entertaining, way that does sort of, pull a little bit of the roots of culture as well.
and I
So
try
I love it.
also to show like the love of the community. Like there's so many fantastic um, idiosyncratic, funny things that happen in all of our communities. And so I've tried to really pull on that. And so, the mood shifts, and the reader gets a little bit of a break, from the hard stuff, as, in every chapter.
Awesome. Yeah, no, really exciting. And actually, so talking about that, so you have some exciting dates coming up, and I wanted to share that. So the Canadian book launch is actually coming up in a matter of weeks, right? So I have your September 17th at 7 p.m. So tell us more about that, and then your US launch as well.
Yeah, so it's amazing, right? With COVID, everything is now online. So we're
Yeah.
calling it, we have a Canadian launch and a US launch, but really it's all just launches because anyone can attend from anywhere in the world, which is also cool. So the Canada launch is September 17th at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. People can just go to my Facebook page to get the information about that. And I'm so excited because actor and activist Fauzia Mirza is going to be my host, and she's a lot of fun. So that's that. Yeah. And then just before that, a week before that, I'm also having a release for the audiobook. And the audiobook is coming out through Penguin Random House. The novel's coming out through Dundurn. And so on September 10th at 8 o'clock, I'm going to have the opportunity to interview the two actors who narrated the audiobook. And so I think that'll be a lot of fun. And again, that's going to be on Facebook Live. They can check my page for that. And then on October 1st, I have my US launch. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And that's being hosted by actor Marie-Lou Nahas, who played Shani on Orange is the New Black. So she's,
Cool.
she's such a great choice because she's also an anti-FGM activist, as well as someone who played this amazing role. So I'm really excited to have her as well be a host.
Amazing. So I guess our viewers can find all the information of these upcoming, interviews and lives on your Facebook page, right? Or
Yes,
Instagram?
all the information is findable there, yes. And also on my website, farzanadoctor.com.
Now, I did see there's an option perhaps to pre-order books. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, the official release for the book in Canada is September 5th, in the US, September 29th. So people can pre-order now. Lots of indie bookstores already have stock. The stock arrived 5 weeks early, which is terrific. So if you contact your local independent bookstore, chances are you'll get the books. So we're calling it a pre-order, but it might already be in the store.
Fantastic. And speaking of local, many Canadians from coast to coast to coast, we're encouraging our Canadians to here, support local, and we have an active challenge going on. So we wanted to ask if you would be able to accept the challenge.
Yes, I have
Yay!
3 for sure. So the first one I wanted to mention is Another Story bookstore. So Another Story is my local bookstore, and they are actually arranging signed copies, and they can send out within Canada. They are this lovely politicized bookstore. They have been working hard even during COVID to send out orders. I love them so much. So that's anotherstory.ca. They're located on Roncesvalles in Toronto. The second one is a woman named Guiomar Campbell. She has a business called lotusartswellness.ca. And I have known her probably, I think, maybe 20 years now. She's a shiatsu, acupuncture, uh, Reiki master, healer person, and I have relied on her so much. That's Guiomar Campbell. And then the third I wanted to mention, I just finished reading this book today, Burning Sugar, and it's a book of poetry, and it's amazing poetry. It's about the experiences of anti-Black racism, the impacts of colonialization, and it's just so poignant and sharp, and I think it's good for poetry lovers and people who are not so familiar with poetry as well. I think could really find a lot of this accessible. So that's Cicely Bell Blaine, Burning Sugar. Those are my 3.
Great. Thank you so much for supporting and doing the Support Local Canada Challenge. Farzana, again, I have to close with saying thank you so much. You're one of the more recently named CBC Book 100 writers in Canada, so congrats on that. And thank you for all that you do. I mean, again, with your, empowerment with the We Speak Out Foundation globally, making a difference. And congrats on your book. Thank you so much, Farzana, for joining us today.
And thank you so much for all the work that you do to support local businesses and to, to pop up all these writers and artists and everybody that you're promoting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Again, I know, and I have a soft heart, for all our support local businesses and, authors like yourselves, the heart and soul, the passion that everyone does, whether you're a musician, a Canadian athlete, or a Canadian author. So, we're all in this together, and, let's just keep supporting everyone. And that's it. So thank you so much, Farzana.
Okay. Thank you, Kamal.
All right. Have a good night, and good night, Canada. Thank you for joining us again, and we'll be here next Sunday at 8. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.